the 4 Doomsday trailers, which were recently labeled as stories, not trailers. And that gives us a completely new lens to view them through. Welcome, everybody. This is the Red Eye Jedi channel, where we're going to be exploring thoughts, theories, and questions about my favorite fictional universes. I am extremely excited about Avengers Doomsday. And honestly, with no Batman news, I'm not terribly excited about DC right now. I'm also not very excited about the Darth Maul cartoon, or really anything happening with Star Wars in the recent past or near future. I am hopeful that changes soon, but for now, I am fully locked in on what Marvel is doing in 2026. Even though Wonder Man wasn't very action-packed, I cannot wait for the second season of Daredevil, Born Again. I'm really hoping it leads directly into Spider-Man Brand New Day, and that both of those stories run side by side with Avengers Doomsday, all building towards Secret Wars. Now, while I fully expect to see more trailers during the upcoming Super Bowl, for now, we have to make do with what we have. And that starts with the 4 Doomsday trailers, which were recently labeled as stories, not trailers. And that gives us a completely new lens to view them through. Let's start with the Steve Rogers story. It opens with a windmill spinning clockwise, clearly tied to time, almost like a clock. Then we see Steve riding his motorcycle down a long dirt road, which feels symbolic, like Steve believes he's reached the end of his long journey. And he looks triumphant, literally riding a motorcycle with the word triumph on it. Steve feels like he's won, like he's done. He's returning home to live the quiet life, the same kind of life Tony Stark was living in Endgame, in that house by the lake with Pepper and their daughter. Next, we see Steve's new home, just a modest, normal house. And that right there shows what Steve has been fighting for all these years. Not riches, not power, just a simple life. He wants to be normal. He pulls up, parks the motorcycle, and hangs his helmet on the handlebar, again showing the word triumph. This tells us Steve believes his mission was accomplished. He feels victorious. As Steve walks toward the front door, that door feels important. It could remind us of the doorways of the TVA. But it also shows Steve closing the door on his old life as Captain America and opening a new door to the life he wants more than anything. But a life he won't be allowed to keep, just like Tony wasn't. Just like Tony, Steve will be pulled back into the fight. Neither of them want to keep fighting, but neither of them feel like they have a choice. Then we see Steve placing his Captain America uniform into a box, the final step of leaving his old life behind. But as the saying goes,
you can't put it back in the box!
And then we get the final shot, Steve holding his baby. And this is where things get very interesting. When Steve went back in time, he created a branched reality, one that was no longer being pruned by Kang's TVA, but now allowed to exist by Loki. That baby could be anyone, a variant of anyone. This child could be a pivotal character, or it could simply represent what Steve is about to lose. Just like Tony lost everything to save the universe, Steve might not make it back home, just like Tony didn't. And Steve feels that. If Tony couldn't have this life, why should he? Tony gave everything to protect the universe, and Steve believes he has to do the same. Now let's move on to the Thor story. It opens with dialogue, but visually it mirrors Tony's lakeside home from Endgame. Thor is responding to a call to action. He's in his armor, praying, begging that after this final battle, he'll be able to return home. Thor now has a child, just like Tony did, and just like it appears Steve does. Thor probably feels the loss of Tony more than ever now, because Thor, too, may have tried to leave the fight behind and realized he can't. Just like Steve, just like Tony. In a way, this feels like the big three of the MCU reuniting, not physically, but ideologically. All three want the same thing, to stop fighting, to live normal lives, to raise their children. But because Tony risked everything, Steve and Thor now feel obligated to do the same. Then we move away from the big three and enter the X-Men mansion. But it's not bright, it's not warm, it's cold, dark, and empty. It feels like a battle already happened, and only a few mutants remain. Professor X speaks about death right after we see a fallen statue, possibly symbolizing the end of an era. Charles and Magneto appear to be playing what could be their final game of chess, waiting for a battle they cannot win. Maybe Cyclops is the only one left who can still fight. And even though he knows the battle is impossible, he goes out anyway, to protect the mansion. for as long as he can. This could be where the Fantastic Four arrive, interacting with these X-Men, helping Cyclops hold the line, but they're too late. The villains already took what they wanted. But the Fantastic Four managed to save Cyclops, Charles, and Magneto, and maybe give them something they've lost: hope. Maybe the Fantastic Four want Franklin and Sue back. Maybe the X-Men want Scott and Jean's child back. Maybe even Jean herself. That's speculation, but it fits. The next story opens in what looks like a desert or a drained ocean. And interestingly, this doesn't feel like an incursion. Rumor has it this trailer has the most digitally scrubbed shots of them all. So why drain an ocean? Maybe Dr. Doom did it, to retrieve vibranium for an army of Doombots or Doom variants. Maybe he already attacked Wakanda too. The Black Panther speaks about the duty of kings, but says she has her own duty. She says she's lost everyone that matters to her, which could include survivors from Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, even her nephew. This trailer could take place after multiple devastating defeats, losses suffered by Wakanda and Namor's people in rapid succession. We see the Thing, meaning the Fantastic Four are here too, and possibly the remaining X-Men as well, all following Dr. Doom through the multiverse, recruiting the broken, the defeated, the survivors, as Doom leaves destruction in his wake, collecting whatever it is he needs. Anyway, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to smash that like button, comment your thoughts, and I'll see you on the next one.